Hi ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to BritishBoxing.net and I'm John S. Tracy, former welterweight champion of the world and the only boxer in Britain to be inducted in the WBC Hall of Fame.
Good evening and welcome to BritishBoxing.net's second edition of the podcast. This evening we've got Kevin Taylor bringing you all the action from Nick Hennessy's card last Friday at the York Hall. Then Kev himself bringing you a bumper interview with Commonwealth and middleweight champion Darren Barker. After that we're moving on to Jim Wright, who was at Newark last weekend. Then Kev and myself review the WSO card in Crawley featuring Anthony Young versus Lee Noble. And finally we've got a bumper meeting with Bermondsey's Pete McDonagh ahead of his big European Union title tilt against Italian Giuseppe Lowry next Friday night. Jumping fearlessly into the action then, how did Darren Barker get on against Stephen Bendel, Kev?
Yeah, it's another cracking fight from Darren. Seems to get better every fight. Stopped Bendel in the 7th due to a cut, but was in control from the first bell to the end of the fight really. Put Bendel down in the first 20 seconds. First real punch he threw in anger in the fight. Short little right did the damage and then follow up with a left hook. Bendel went down, he was up at 4 but looked into his corner straight away and I think he knew he was in a fight straight away. From then on, really, Barker didn't seem to be able to miss with the right hand. Just kept hitting overhand rights all through the fight really. Richie David looked like he was going to call it off in the 5th. Barker had Bendel on the ropes, punching away. Looked like Davis was going to jump in, but Bendel managed to throw a few back and carried on.
For those people who are not too familiar with Darren Barker, can you give us the lowdown on him?
Very classy indeed. I think, probably one of our better talents in the country. He's got a really good boxing brain. Picks the punches really, really well. He obviously had a few months off because of the tragic death of his brother, but seems to have come back even stronger. Hasn't lost a round in the last 3 fights. Just seems to be getting better and better. Won a Commonwealth gold medal as an amateur as well. I just think he's a really, really strong possibility of him going on to win British and European titles as well. He's just really, really talented.
Grand job, and it's been mentioned that the journeyman Conroy McIntosh put him down a couple of times. A bit of a worry about the whiskers there?
Same venue. McIntosh put him down twice. Had him all going all over the place, to be honest. Barker did well to hang on and get to the end of the round, to be honest. I'm not sure. Paul Samuels in his comeback fight also put him down. He touched down with his right hand and then knocked Samuels out with a left-hander straight away, sort of thing. So Bendel hit him with a couple of hooks in the 6th. The only round really Bendel got into him. He just took them and just kept coming forward. So I'm not sure, to be honest. Time will tell, I suppose.
Where'd he go from here then, Darren?
He's looking at maybe a British title fight against Wayne Elcock or Darren McDonagh, but he's quite happy to fight anybody they put in front of him. Grand
job, and of course Steve Bendel, he's been stopped before at British level and beyond in the European shot. Any way back for him?
Yeah, I think he's 32. It's his third major title shot. He's been stopped in every one. He also got stopped by Wayne Elcock for his English title that he held. I can't see any way back for him really. He was just totally outboxed from start to finish in my eyes. I can't see where he goes from here.
Okay, moving on now to Kid Dynamite David Walker. He's up at light middle nowadays. He was in action on last Friday against Andy Butlin from Huddersfield. Tell us about that one.
Yeah, fight of the night in my eyes. Cracking fight. Dave Walker. Well, what can you say about him? Always in exciting fights. Controlled the fight in the early rounds. Up with a good high guard, just picking off Butlin with a jab. And then for some reason came out with a third with his hands down, and Butlin just couldn't miss him. Threw 3 or 4 uppercuts on the trot at various stages through the fight, and just was picking Walker off every time. Walker has that habit of blinking, which makes him look like he's always in trouble. And when just as he looked in real trouble in a 4th, he came back with his own left hook followed by a straight right, and Butlin was forced to take a knee. Then Walker was cut in the 5th, quite a bad cut. It was inspected by the ref and he allowed him to carry on. And in the end, Walker got the decision by 1 point, which was probably the knockdown that gave him the fight.
And how long can he keep doing this Kid Dynamite David Walker then?
I think we put on the site 3 years ago that he should have, hung up the gloves. I can't see how he can keep being in these barnstormers. It can't be. He's 31 now, still quite young, I suppose. But every fight's a tough fight for him. I think the first fight I ever covered for BritishBoxing.net was the Roman Karmazin fight, where obviously Karmazin's world class and outboxed him for 3 rounds. And after that fight, I thought Walker might call it a day, but he just keeps going. It's amazing, really.
So enjoy him while he's around there.
Yeah, and all credit to Andy Button as well. It was only his 5th fight. He took the fight on 3 days' notice as well. Quite a character. He got knocked out in the first round by Martin Concepcion on his debut. Then took 2 years out, but was actually doing some MMA boxing in the time. And now he's come back and he's now got a record of 2 wins, 2 losses and 1 draw. But, full credit to the lad. Took the fight on 3 days' notice, and it was a really cracking fight.
Get on with business then, and on to Scott Lawton, who was rebound champion Jonathan Thaxton.
Well, to be honest with you, he won, but I don't know how he won it. Billy Smith gave Dave Stewart more trouble than John Thaxton. He couldn't miss with a left hook, just threw the left hook constantly. Dave Stewart was never in the fight. I gave the fight 59-55 to Smith, but as so often happens in this sport, Stewart's hand was held aloft by Ian John Lewis, who had it 58-57 to Stewart. Stewart was cut in the 5th round as well. I don't know where, what Billy Smith's done wrong, but there's no way he lost that fight.
33 now, Dave Stewart. Obviously, he came up short in a good fight against Thaxton. Struggling against the likes of Smith, where did he go? Well,
I don't know. It was the showstopper. It might be just he was, he'd been hanging around a long time. He's still a good, he's classy enough boxer. I don't know how he makes lightweight. He's such a big lad. But on that performance, he won't go much further. But it depends on what Thaxton does. If Thaxton fights long enough and takes European title, there could be a possibility of still fighting for the British title if Thaxton decides to give it up, I suppose.
Moving straight on to the wild card of the pack then, a super feather, born in Kettering, a fellow by the name of Andrew Singh Kuna. Tell us about this lad, for those who don't know.
Yeah, he's much hyped. I think he still trains in Canada, but was born in Kettering. Hennessy's obviously got a deal with the Canadians as well. They put on a few shows over there. To be honest, he hasn't lived up to the hype, in my opinion. His second fight on British soil, and he lost to Mongolian Shiny Bayar last time out. And this fight was pretty nondescript, to be honest. First round, second round was pretty much the same going through to the 8th. And then from nowhere, he pulled out a cracking right hook and knocked out Gavin Reid. Gavin Reid was left on the floor, needed a bit of oxygen to get and then got up. But just came out of nowhere, really. It was pretty boring stuff, to be honest.
And any other highlights that stick in the memory from the card from the other fights?
There was a good show, a show opener. Bob Safi from Darlington. He had a shout-out victory over Victor Smith in a 4-rounder. And then we had Danny McIntosh. He looks very good. Norwich lad, but being played by the Ingles up in Sheffield. He stopped super tough Nick Olkoff in the 3rd of their scheduled 4-rounder. Cut Olkoff in the 1st round, to be honest, and then it was called off because of the cut in the 3rd. But in the 1st round, he was just picking off Olkoff with his jab. He's another one of these fighters with the left hand down. And, he was just picking Olkoff off. And then, 2nd round, Olkoff got back into it, hit him a couple of times, tested McIntosh's chin, but he came through it, and then the ref called it off. Looks like it could be Cueto next for McIntosh for a Southern Area title. And then we had Northampton's Jamie Spence, who's always in a good fight. He looked really solid, to be honest with you. He fought Coventry's Baz Carey, won every round, pretty untidy, to be honest, but cut Carey in the last round. And then we just had a glorified spar, to be honest, between Daniel Herdman and his stablemate, Ben the Real Cat Weasel Hudson. Cat Weasel doing his normal showboating, and Herdman just won 40-36. But a really good show, fantastic support for Kid Dynamite.